couple different scenarios that I want to go through today. First is I have an Excel spreadsheet, or I have a Sage estimating database, but I don't have eTakeoff, or I have eTakeoff, but it doesn't work yet. I just haven't been able to get things going. So those are kind of the three scenarios. If you fit in one of those, that's where we're going today. If you already have a Sage database, please bear with me a little bit at the beginning. We will definitely get to the Sage estimating part of it here as we go along. Let's see, there we go. So we're going to review quickly some Excel integration features new in version 1911. We're going to see how we can integrate Takeoff with estimating, and we'll create an estimate here within a half an hour. So lots to do here, but it works pretty well. So before we continue on, just some quick terms. If you're not familiar with Sage estimating, we got a couple things to be familiar with. One is items. An item is anything you can write a check for. It's a yard of concrete, a 2x4 stud, a sheet of drywall, yard of carpet, hour of labor, hour of equipment time, anything you can write a check for. I'm saying that's pretty obvious, I think. We also have group phases and phases. These are features in the system that we use to organize items. And so a group phase would be like concrete, and then a phase would be forming and reinforcement and the cast in place concrete, things like that. So group phases and phases organize items. And also so we have some eTakeoff terms that I want to go over real quickly as well. We're going to have traces. And so traces define the colors and characteristics we use to display measurements. If you're used to using on-screen, on-center, on-screen, it's a condition. Only there's more to it than that. So a trace is that thing that we're going to trace or count or do on the plan or drawing itself to get our measurements. Extensions extend a trace. They allow you to add additional input and output parameters to any trace, and they are powerful. And so we're going to look at quickly, there'll be a piece where we talk about extensions. So just those quick terms there. Let's get into it here. So minimize this and get organized here on my screen. Get that. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take, this is a database or an Excel spreadsheet that we got from a client, and I've really stripped it down and made it stripped out all the proprietary things there are. So, but what I want you to see is that this is what we get a lot of, where some people have some really nice, sophisticated Excel spreadsheets that they do their estimating in. And so this is that example, and you can see across the bottom here, I've got a bunch of tabs. So there's demolition, and within the demolition tab, these are, right, those are our items. There's the takeoff quantity, and there's the price. So once you start looking at these Excel spreadsheets, it can be pretty obvious what we need to get over into Sage estimating. And so I've got rough carpentry and the same idea, items, pricing, and takeoff quantity. So what we did is we took this and we went over here and we created a couple new tabs. And we are going to use these tabs as phases. And we're going to, of course, use these as items within those phases. So I went here, and here's a phase import tab. Where did I get this? I got it from the database editor. So I've got database editor here, and we can see the columns the database editor needs to import in. And so there it comes on my other screen, and there's database editor. So see how we have phase, or let's go here to the phases. We have the phase, the description, the unit, the group, and the note. Phase, description, unit, group, and note. So what I did is I took this line and I copied it and I pasted it into this workbook sheet, and then just filled in the ones below it for this particular database. Then I can take and select all of these like this. Be sure and select the whole row. Copy this, go into database editor, and paste. I'm not going to do it because I've already got things going in this database, but it's really simple, and you can see that to create phases in the estimating from Excel is really quick. All you do is copy that template over into your Excel spreadsheet. Oh, God. Sorry about that. Phone calls that I can't avoid. All right, so we do the same basic idea with items. Go here to database editor, and I go to the items tab, and I can take this one, and I just create an item called delete me, because I am not going to use this item going forward. I'm just using it to get information into the spreadsheet. I also have a layout, and since this is, I'm going to do just for this particular database that I'm working on for a cabinet manufacturer, I'm going to just use materials. So I've just used a layout that just has the material columns in it. I can take this and I can copy it. I can come over here back to Excel, and I can go here to my item import one. I can paste that delete me in here, and now I have the columns that I need to get the import going into Sage Estimating. So that's how I did it. Then I again select all of these and then copy and paste them back into Database Editor. Same thing here, paste. All right. So I mean, I realize I haven't showed you an actual one here, but that's the process. And so what I want to do here is I want to show you a little bit different database. I'm going to undo that one, and I'm going to open one here that we're going to look at as we go through the through our demo this morning. And so I'm selecting this small piping one. And so this is a real small little database, just a bunch of different kinds of pipe and different things like that. And so I have, you can see, we have this, you can see I have different items, takeoff, material only kinds of things here. You can see the checkbox here is checked yes and no. If I did this, let me copy this, and I will do this. Here's a blank spreadsheet. If I come in here and paste that, it's going to say, not same size. I'm going to say okay, and it brings it in. All right, let's do this. So got this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Control C, Control V. So copied a couple more. I am going to say, I'm going to come down. You know what? Sorry, I'm going to do something a little different here. Take these, delete them out of there. I want to come down here to the bottom of my database. I'm going to take this pipe hanger, and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to come back to Excel, and I'm going to paste it just like I did before. Yes. And I'm going to take this row here. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to create 2 new items. I'm doing it at the end so that we can see those items easily. And I'm going to say that this is item number 20. This is item number 30. And I'm going to call this test 02 and test. And we'll just say this is $10 and $15. Okay, really quick. Now I can do, so I've just created a couple items, copy these, come back here, select this last row, paste. There's my 2 items. All right, so you can create items quickly and bring them into your your database. That's the point. All right. So the reason that the reason we're all here today, right, is the trace creation utility. I'm going to go ahead and delete these items too, which is just as easy. Delete those. I'm back to where I started from. The trace creation tool allows us, once we get items and assemblies, into Sage Estimating, it creates the traces from that database automatically. So I'm going to get out of database editor here since we've looked at that. I'm not going to save the changes. So let's minimize. We don't need Excel anymore right now, but I do want to start the trace utility. Where'd it go? There it is. And there it is for us here. So this is the utility. It will create traces from our Sage database. Got to get it into Sage first, but it does create those. So what I want to do, this is a GC database, and you can see there's a lot of stuff here. There's a lot of items in here, and we'll go over how all this works as we go through this morning here. But the key thing here is that it's quick. So what I want to do is we have that small piping database that we just looked at. It's down here, right here. And I'm going to click OK. And it is going to bring that up. Okay, so that's how quickly it did that little database. I've opened up some of these big databases, like some of these RS means databases, and it opens them up and it does everything that we're going to look at here this morning in probably 15, 20 seconds. Not that bad. A whole lot better than creating it from scratch. So what we've got here is, let's look at our Sage back here to, I'm going to bring up Sage Estimating here as well. Where is my mouse? There it is. All right, so here's Sage Estimating, same database. I just want to quickly look at the item record. Notice, as I'm opening things up on another monitor, notice the group phase item structure. Okay, here's our group phases. Here's phases, group phases and phases. We've got those same structure here in the trace creation utility. So it takes the group phase and phase structure and mimics it here in the utility so that we have a way to organize our traces. And it's done again, it did that automatically. So these mimic our group phase structure. Here we go. I'm just drilling down through these. You can see that we have group phases, how the group phases and phases are now folders. And those folders are going to hold our traces. And over here on the right are those traces. And so if I just click here, there is all of the traces that are in this folder right here for carbon steel pipe. And here's all the gate valves. If I sit up here on all, here's everything in the database. You can see it's really nice and tidy and small. So it's looking at the items in our database. It's also looking at the assemblies in the database. And I only have one assembly, but yours could have as many as obviously as you need. It will read them all. And then what we have over here on the right is what it's done automatically. So it has said, here's an item. This item has its item number. The item code is 02. There's 03 and 4, 6 and 8 and 10. And so it's appended that onto the item description. There's the takeoff unit from the Sage item. The dimension quantity is the measurement type, area, count, length, or perimeter. It automatically knew that since my takeoff unit is LF or lineal feet, that I'm going to want a length measurement type. It did this automatically. And so you can see down here, it's got all of these here. If you remember from the, let's go back here and open up that GC database. It's up here. There it is. You see how quickly it does this one, opening it up from scratch. And what it says is, oh, here's a bunch of red boxes. These red boxes mean that it doesn't, the utility doesn't know what LS means. Is it a length count, area count, length, or perimeter kind of measurement? Well, LS lump sum is neither. So that's why it's got a red box around it. doesn't know what bag means. So again, you could say it could be account, or it could be something. Generally though, a lump sum is not something you're going to take off your plans. Neither is week or month. So that's what it will do when it doesn't know what a particular takeoff unit means. Go back here. I'm going to close this one and go back to our little small piping database. And okay. So we're back here, back where we started from. So it picks the measurement type. It also picks the color, the transparency, and the width. The colors are random. It just generates them. It also says there's a layer called carbon steel pipe, and it also sets the what kind of quantities do we want to see, just the length in this case. Here it says gate valves. It's written to gate valves. It says, well, this is a count. It's a count. It says everything in this phase is a filled triangle, and here's some random colors assigned to the different gate valve sizes. So it did that automatically. It said, here's another phase, open triangle, random colors. Here's a plus for all of the T's and other fittings, and then it just assigned a random color. So it does that. I have not done anything to this database. It has all been done automatically. So it literally a couple of seconds here. The idea is that you can get this up and going same day, maybe even within an hour or two of getting Sage estimating. So you can get up and running quickly. It reads items here, and you can see that the status, a status has got a green A. Okay, what does that mean? Well, if I mouse up here over the status word, it says, well, I is incomplete. We don't have any of those. M requires mapping. We'll look at that in a second. M is mapped but not approved. A is automatic mapped. The system knew what to do with everything, so that's what we've got here. And mapping is completed and approved is the final one with the checkbox. Anytime it's green, you can see that I have a checkbox for export it out. What we're going to do is export, once we get this all approved and reviewed, we're going to export it out. So these are all set for export. These are all items. If I go to assemblies, you'll see that my status is requires mapping. So I'm going to click on this one and I'm going to say bridge mapping here. And I get, come on, there we go. I get this window here. So you can see this is a assembly for pipe hangers. I've already got this mapped right here. The alternate, you can see the little colored rectangle by it. That's already pre-mapped by the system because it automatically creates and maps alternate. Well, I've got these questions over here from the assembly, the pipe length and size and the material, and include hangers, yes or no. Those are the questions from the assembly, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an extension. Remember we said extensions extend the trace? I'm going to click this, and it created this extension, and it automatically said, well, pipe length is pipe length, and size is size, and material, and it's already been mapped. It creates this extension automatically for me. The length, I just want to do this. I'm going to take this length property, and I'm going to drop it right there. And I'm going to, so that's all I have to do for the extension. I can check it, of course, make sure that everything's all right. I also can set the mode here. Do I want it to be fully automatic or semi-automatic? I'm going to set it to fully automatic, and I'm going to approve it. Watch, seeing how this little green M is back here now? If I click approve, now it's checked. And we are good and ready to go with that assembly. So it does a lot of the work for you. You don't have to do everything, but you do need to go through and do a little bit of checking and review before you can export things out. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to export it. We're going to click this export button when we're done, and we're going to create two things. We're going to create a TSX file for a trace file, and we're going to create a BPX file for a bridge mapping file. And I'm going to call this the small pipe folder. We're going to take both and we'll just call this a small pipe assemblies, and click OK. And I'm going to put these on my desktop. So I'm going to save that. And 47 whole items, big database, right? Okay, that's all I have to do with the tool. Now I'm going to come up here and I'm going to open up Bridge first. We'll do Bridge first, then we'll go up and do Dimension. So Bridge is the piece of software that bridges estimating to takeoff to estimating. I'm going to come here and I'm going to go to History and I'm going to import assignment history, and I'm going to import that small piping. That was the BP, I'm sorry, I clicked a little fast there. That's the BPX file. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to switch to this, and I'm going to take all of these. What I need to do first is I got to do this first. I got to clean it out. Oh, let's do this. And we'll do File, History, Import, Small Piping. I need to create a new catalog, so I'm going to call this Small Pipe. You don't need to worry about this. I'm going to select all of these because I want to import all of these. These are the bridge mappings, and I'm going to say OK. So that's in Bridge. So we just put the mappings into Bridge. Now we're going to go to eTakeoff Dimension. This is where we're going to do our takeoff. And so we're going to do this, and I'm going to make it, come on, there we go. And make it the right size there. And I'm going to go here to the settings. I'm going to import standards. And from the import standards file, I'm going to go to my desktop and the small piping TSX. Now, as I import this in, notice here my trace list. I've got a big trace list because I do a lot of different demos during the week. So you're going to have a much smaller trace list, but these are the folders that are used to organize traces in Dimension. Remember, we looked at those folders being created from our group phases and phases. This is where we're going to see that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to import everything, and 49. And I've done everything right. There's our small pipe trace list, and there's our carbon steel pipe, and there's some pipe. We are ready to do takeoff. Now, I realize that we've been doing this pretty quickly, but this is really pretty simple. You can get going very quickly. And so if I just said, I know I've got and I apologize for mechanical guys who are going, what are you doing? 2-inch carbon steel pipe in a hotel, but sorry about that. That's what we're gonna do here today. So if I just start clicking here, I can start doing takeoff. And I'm gonna go back here to home, and I'm just gonna make sure, okay. Enter. I now have 10 feet of pipe. I can go down here and pick the 4-inch, and I'm going to do this. This is the 4-inch, and here's the 3-inch. Looks like this piece is 3-inch here. Enter. And so you can see I can start to do takeoff here very quickly. And I can do one more takeoff here. I don't need to bother. You don't need to watch me sit here and do takeoff for a long time. And I'll just trace this here. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm going to do another piece of 3-inch here. And I'm going to do another piece of 4-inch here. You would do a much better job than I'm doing here. Okay, so I've done takeoff. I've got a couple pieces of 2-inch, 3-inch, and 4-inch. You can see here's the lengths over here in the bottom right. I've got layers in here. I've already done some takeoff here for the there's some more 3-inch. So I've got this pipe over here on the left right here. So I've got other pieces of pipe that I can take off. I can do valves. Let's just go in and we'll count some 3-inch gate valves, for example, and we'll put one, oh, I don't know, how about there, 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 and there. Enter. All right, got 4 gate valves. So I've done some takeoff. Now what? You would obviously do a lot more detail, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to View, and I'm going to start bridge. So there's the bridge. There are no bridges associated with this project. Do I want to create one? I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to create a new bridge. And so I'll call this La Quinta M&P demo. Let's see the assignment history. Again, I need to pick the small pipe one. Assignment history is not something to worry about a lot. If you may not have all the different traces that I do, so you don't need to worry about it. Most people don't. I'm going to create a new estimate though. I'm going to create a new estimate in Bridge. I'm going to create a new Sage estimating database from Bridge. New Sage estimate from within Bridge. So I'll call this Quinta M&P demo. I like to keep my estimate name and my bridge name the same. I have to pick the right database, so it's that small piping database. And what branch do I want to put it in? So it's going to Bridge reads my Sage database. That's what it's good at. And so I click OK, and there is my Sage database displayed in Bridge. Here's the items. There we go. Drill down. Look familiar? There's the 2-inch pipe. There is the assembly that I have for the pipe hangers. And so I can start to work with it. Let me cancel this. All right, so Bridge is reading that. Why does it read it? Why does it display it here? Is because if I've created, there's different ways to create items within using Bridge and Dimension. I can create items directly in the takeoff and then pass them or install them in my Sage database. So if I wanted to create a trace here for something that I didn't have an item for, I could do that, and then I could map it. And that's what this is here for, to map different takeoff measurements too. I can do manual takeoff, and I can say, you know what, I've got here, I need to get these, and I've got those valves, and here's the valves, and I can go to gate valves, and I can just say, these are 3-inch gate valves. So that's all I would do to map it. You can see what it's done is it already says there's 4 of them here. This has been mapped. I've got a color coded here, and it's done, ready to go. I would need to map this, so but this tool did that for me. I can also map WBS codes. There's alternates and other things that I can map down here, so I can map the floor down to the location. All right, so I can map things here in the system, but the key here too is once mapped, always mapped. I only need to map it once. And so if I wanted to, once I do it, I'm done forever. For this project, the next project, for all projects going forward for me and for others estimators in my company. I can, when I click this pass, it'll calculate a quantity and I can send that to the estimate. That's manual takeoff. I can also do automatic takeoff. It automatically found all of those different pipes that we took off and that we created in our Sage database. So went from Excel to Sage estimating, from Sage estimating to the trace utility, and the trace utility said, well, we're going to make those automatic assignments. So we went from the trace utility now to eTakeoff, and we're just going to say we just want to send those to the estimate. So click that. Those are done. We've sent those to the estimate. Close this and go to the estimate. Minimize Bridge. There is my estimate with all of the different things that I have taken off and added to my database there. So right, we've done that all within half an hour. And I realize that there's a lot of things that I've shown you that are, they're gonna, honestly, I know they're canned, but they can be really quick for you to do as well. One of the major features that we have here is you'll notice this little blue caret, the takeoff quantity. Anytime I see that, I can right click and I can drill back down to bridge. And bridge is going to open. It's going to say if there's 10.9 feet, and there's the measurement. So, the project manager comes to you and says, where'd that measurement come from? A couple of clicks and you can show them exactly where it came from. Also, if I come here and I can edit these points and I can say, you know what, that got a lot longer, and so did that one. Okay, and so I can change that. Then I can come back here and I can open up bridge again, and I could say, refresh the assignment list. It says, whoa, there's a change. And if I look at this, it says we went from 10 feet to 18 feet. Okay, let's go ahead and process that. There goes 18 feet and send it to the estimate. Close this. Let's go back to the estimate. That's that 2-inch piece of pipe. Click OK. And then we have 18 feet there. So you can not only send stuff to the estimate, you can drill back from the estimate to see where things came from. Make changes. I made a measurement change. You can make spec changes, detail changes. I could change the size of the pipe. I could change all kinds of things, and then push that from the takeoff back to the estimate and make those changes. I did everything right here in the same estimate. You would probably have iterative, a series of estimates where you had the original and then your changes as you're going forward in the project. So that's what I wanted to show you today, just how that trace utility works and some of the really cool functionality we have with the dimension and bridge and all. So again, thank you. Appreciate your time this morning. It's been great talking with you, and look forward to speaking with you in the future.